Good. Yeah, I guess it is morning. Yeah. Good morning, guys. It's morning. It's morning for us. I don't know when you guys are watching this, but it is about 7:30. It is Martin Luther King Day. Happy Martin Luther King Day. He was a great gentleman. Did a lot of good for the world. But we are out here in the wood yard. We got a fire going. It's probably about 20 degrees out, and we have been doing some major cleanup around the wood yard, getting stuff ready, because we unfortunately have to tackle a project today that I don't want to have to do for a couple reasons. One, it's going to make the wood yard smaller. Two, it's going to take up valuable time that we could otherwise be, spending doing other more productive things. And three, it's because I have to admit that I made a mistake. Turns out it's not the end of the world. There will not be any litigation involved, but I went over our property lines back here onto water company property, and they let me know very nicely. But I don't think anyone really knew for a while where exactly the property line is, and that is in part my fault. I was given some wrong information back when Sarah and I first purchased the property, and I never had it surveyed or anything to give me exact property markers. But now that we know that I went over the property line in an area here in the wood yard, we need to rectify it. So let me flip the camera around, show you what we got going on, and how we're going to, fix this little snafu, if you will. So as you guys might have seen in the videos, we have our wood yard here, it goes out to the driveway and everything, and we have all of this beautiful forest here behind our house. That forest is not my property. Just so happens that the water company came through a couple weeks ago, and you may have seen this in the background of the video, but they remarked the property line of all of the properties, not just my property. This is about 120 acre forest with houses and private properties that line, this whole half, and everything back this way is owned by the water company. So they came through with Forester a couple weeks ago, and they put fresh marking paint and signs every so often on all of the trees lining this whole area. And it just so happens that this one little square right here is on their property. So basically, if I stand at this tree marker right here, we can zoom in and see. No, you're too. You got to come back. Yeah, right there above Chris's head, you might be able to see on that other tree that other sign and marking paint. So literally this little square, which I haven't even measured because it's kind of negatable as far as the size of it, but they asked me, this is basically where I stored my firewood, the big chunk totes, and bundle firewood, all the good boneless, skinless stuff, and one log that we had milled up at one point. So there really wasn't much here. I think it was a total of like 9 totes that were here, but they asked me to move the totes and pick up as much of the asphalt millings as possible. Now, you might ask what my plan is for the asphalt millings, and it just so happens that I need asphalt millings over in this area underneath the conveyor that Chris and I recently dug out and kind of expanded. This area also gets a lot of raking and cleanup just from all the wood going into the totes, so we were actually down to bare dirt in some spots anyway. So my plan is, with the help of Chris and Gorgonzola over here, blue cheese, we're going to pull up all those asphalt millings and repurpose them over in this area. So hopefully we will be able to do that. Like I said, it's about 20 degrees. The ground is mighty frozen, but Chris, even with Gorgonzola, was able to kind of get down to the bare millings here when we were cleaning up all the sawdust and stuff. So I'm hoping with the Wicked Tooth Bar on my bucket, we should be able to break down through that crusty frozen layer, and if not, we will be using the backhoe on Gorgonzola to kind of pull back all the millings into a pile, and then I'll come in and scoop them up with the tractor and, spread them out over here. Well, that quite clearly did not work. The low temperatures here are not in our favor. I told, when I spoke to the representative from the water company, I said, you know, it might be tough with all these cold temperatures we've been having. The ground's got to probably be pretty frozen. So we're going to try our best here. Obviously, we only dug in that little bit. So Chris just fired up Gorgonzola, and we're going to see if he can come out here and maybe kind of try and start at the edge where you can get a bite on like the very edge of the millings, and see if he can pull them back from like underneath and make a pile. And then I could always come in with the Kubota tractor in the bucket to scoop them out. Okay guys, this is working pretty well. Chris seems to think that like only the top 2-3 inches or so are frozen, which would make sense because it hasn't been super cold here for all that long. But as you can see, I mean, this is still gonna take a lot of time for him to break it all up and rip it up and have to keep moving the tractor. So an idea that I had was for me to go hook up my new land plane that you might have seen I bartered for some tree work with actually a viewer that lives local here. And I dropped some trees for him. He gave me a land plane, and that land plane has big ripper teeth on them. So I was thinking if I drop those ripper teeth down all the way, I could back up and just kind of rip up that top layer at 6-foot, you know, swaths at a time, as opposed to Chris's backhoe bucket, which is, you know, maybe 12 inches wide. So I'm gonna go up to where I keep all my implements. I'm gonna drop the big tool rack, and we're gonna hook up the land plane. All right, Chris was able to do some damage with old Gorgonzola. How'd she feel, buddy?
It doesn't feel as strong as it should, but...
The tractor?
Yeah, but I think it has a lot to do with the leaking cylinders and hoses and everything that has to do with the backhoe that's still wet.
It feels less strong than when we were digging over underneath the conveyor?
A little bit, but I also think that's because this is hard-packed, frozen millings as opposed to thawed, wet dirt.
Mud, yeah.
I mean, I think it did a great job for what we're trying to accomplish here.
Absolutely.
But I would have liked just a little bit more power to really get those teeth through that top layer just to crack, you know, the frozen bit. But
well, give her some gas, princess.
Oh, I put some gas to it, but this one.
All right, so let's try the land plane. I got the land plane on the back of the tractor now. I haven't even used this thing since I got it, so I'm interested to see how it works here. So I'm gonna hand the camera to you, and I'll back up on, I don't know, my tractor doesn't have a name, so on the Kubota L3901 and
Pumpkin. Punkin.
Guys, let me know down in the comments, what should I name the tractor? It doesn't have a name. That's that could be fun.
that took like no time. So those ripper teeth do really, really good. And you can see, you know, we're breaking big chunks of frozen millings. So I
think now you spin around and see if you can dig it.
Yeah, see if I can dig it. It's kind of hard to tell what got ripped up well and what didn't because the nature of the land plane, it kind of smooths everything out after the ripper teeth. So yeah, let's see what we can get.
Gotten done so far. You can see we are definitely down to dirt in some spots, and you can just see how much water and stuff these asphalt millings mitigate. It all just kind of drains down through it, and as soon as you get back down to dirt, you are in the water and in the mud. So these millings work really well. We're really close back in there. You know, you can see a lot of dirt up in here. This is kind of where I was raising up the land plane because, you know, we see our line right there. So I'm going to have to hit this again with the ripper teeth, but it's working pretty well. And here is where we've been dumping the millings, and as you can see, I mean, we are basically fully covered. There are some frozen chunks and everything that will need to break up over time and just by driving over it and everything, but we have more than enough material to cover this area. It's definitely going to need a little bit of grading, which I'll probably use the land plane on now that, you know, it's on the back of the tractor and I can play around with that. But we have plenty of material here. Chris was playing around with the drone for the first time. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that drone is pretty sweet. We should put a link to that or something.
Yeah, it's oh yeah, actually that is a great point, because just by happenstance yesterday, or a couple days ago, I guess, I started a Amazon marketplace like storefront. So you will see down in the description, I will pin a comment with a link to the Dude Ranch DIY storefront, and that has, I have 2 different lists: tools and equipment that we use, and camera gear and video, you know, cameras and stuff that we use to film everything. Because I get a lot of questions all the time about, like, for instance, the Mingo marker. What's that green thing that you use to mark your firewood logs? Or what type of drone are you using? What kind of camera do you use? All of that stuff, or as much of it as I can, I've posted links, you know, in the Amazon storefront, so you could check it out. Well, all right, guys, I think that is going to call it good enough. We, as soon as we strip down the asphalt millings and kind of got down to the dirt, as you can see here, it got real soupy and mucky and muddy, and I think I'd just be doing more of a disservice to the water company property than a service by driving in there and trying to get out every last little bit. Now, when I did speak to the representative from the water company, they were, again, like super nice, very understanding. They honestly said, they should have been more up to date with marking the boundaries of all of these properties and where their property begins and where the residential properties end, because then it would make it easier for me as a homeowner to know. And because they only come through once every 5 to 10 years to mark the property, the paint had worn away on the trees, and we bought the house 3 years ago, so it was hard for me to tell. But again, they were very nice, understanding. They said, yeah, just get up as much as you can. We totally understand, that you're not going to be able to get up every last little pebble. I think they basically just want it to be able to, over time, go back to normal, have some, underbrush and stuff start growing again. And I think that this area, what we got it down to, is going to be more than capable of allowing for that, especially once the spring comes around and all the seeds start germinating and pollinating. There's going to be saplings growing up here in no time at all. Now, as far as this area where we brought all the asphalt millings, it looks great. I built it up quite a bit, so that way everything kind of has a natural slope. The whole slope of the woodyard goes this way. So this area was no different, but we were able to get it in, get right up to the edge there. I'm going to have to do some hand compaction and stuff in some areas where I couldn't roll it in with the tractor, but we were able to get a nice ramp kind of going up. Again, you can see I have plenty of distance to the boundary of my property versus the water company, and at some point in the spring maybe we'll kind of continue this road around, hugging the backside of the shelter and connecting back over there, all again still on my property, but that's kind of the plan. So we started up a little ramp right there that'll be easier to access, and I think this is going to work out pretty well for us. What do you think?
I think it's going to work out great. Having all these millings here, we won't have such an issue with the flatbed or the dumpster can backing up underneath the conveyor.
Right, especially now that it's wider too. The truck will be able to fit in easier.
Yep.
I still think some people suggested that, if we were to drop the dumpster can down, to get some big boards or something to put down underneath the wheels for it to roll on easier. I think that's a good idea. But just for now, as far as getting in and out for the totes off the conveyor, this is going to be a much smoother area for us to do that. It's not going to be as off center. And I got to say, this Woods 60-inch land plane fits really well behind my tractor. We lost one of the ripper teeth, but then found it, so I'm just gonna have to get a new pin for it. But it worked out really well. Those ripper teeth did exactly what we needed to do. And although Gorgonzola was able to rip up the stuff, I think this did it a little faster just because it's a lot wider.
Yeah, I think you did that in 3 passes, and we probably would have been there for another couple hours just with the backhoe trying to break up that couple top inches of frozen asphalt millings.
Right. I mean, your tractor had no problem whatsoever doing it.
No.
It's just a 12-inch bucket, versus a 5-foot bucket.
Yeah.
So to speak. But yeah, this thing worked out really well. I'm excited to use it back here in the wood yard. Maybe in the spring again when things thaw up, to just kind of level everything out. The millings kind of get pushed around. There's low spots, high spots. So I think having a bigger area to use this thing on will be easier to use it. This is kind of a tight, small area. So by the time it starts, actually grading, you're already kind of out of the area that you need to be grading, if you guys kind of follow. So guys, I think, like I said, that's going to wrap this one up. I really appreciate the help, as always. Hopefully we have fulfilled the requirements that the water company set forth, and we will be on good terms once again. The next step is for me to call them up, let them know that I did the remediation work. They'll send out the forester, and he will kind of give me the thumbs up or thumbs down. But I think we did a pretty good job. So I will let you know the outcome of that in a future video. But for now, guys, that's going to be it. So as always, if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, click that subscribe button down below. Don't forget to check out the pinned comment down below with the Amazon storefront if you're interested in any of the products, tools, and stuff that we use here on the channel. Links to those will be down in that. Any questions, comments, or feedback, throw it down in that comment section. But for now, I'm Jake.
And I'm Chris.
He's smiling. What are you, smirking?
No, I was just thinking about Costa Rica Jake calling me out from my mug.
Yeah, well, you never smile.
I'm smiling.
You're a
just
sad
for you,
sack.
Jake.
It's like you go, you like this.
I
All right,
got resting sad face.
so you're
right there.
smiling right now for
I'm
Costa
smiling.
Rica, Jake?
Costa Rica Jake. Here we
Costa
go.
Rica Jake, this is about the biggest shout out you've gotten, buddy. So better eat it up. Any questions, comments, or feedback, throw it down in that comment section. But for now, I'm Jake.
And I'm Chris.
This is Dude Ranch DIY. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you here next time.